On a cold morning in February 1855, an entire corner of England woke to something that has never been explained. Overnight, across the snow-covered villages of Devon, a single line of hoof-like prints had appeared. They ran for mile after mile, straight over rooftops, over high walls, through locked gardens and across a frozen river, as though whatever made them could not be stopped by anything in its path. The people who found them were terrified, and many became convinced of one thing. The devil had walked through Devon in the night. This is a true story, reported in the newspapers of the day, and to this day no one knows what made the marks. The winter of 1855 was a bitter one. From January the temperatures had barely risen above freezing, the rivers Exe and Tyne had turned to ice, and each fresh fall of snow simply settled on top of the last, hardening into a thick frozen layer across the fields and rooftops of South Devon. On the night of the 8th of February, another heavy snow fell, and is thought to have stopped around midnight. Somewhere in the hours between then and dawn, something crossed the sleeping county. The first to see them, in the little town of Topsham, were the early risers. A baker, stepping out before light, noticed strange tracks near his shop. As the sun came up and the villages stirred, the same discovery was being made everywhere. In Lympstone there was hardly a garden without them. In Exmouth, Teignmouth, Dawlish and beyond, people opened their doors onto the same uncanny sight, a trail of small dark prints pressed neatly into the fresh snow. It was the shape of them that unsettled people most. Each mark looked like the print of a small cloven hoof, close to that of a donkey, about 4 inches long and 3 across. But no donkey, and no ordinary animal, moved the way this thing had moved. Instead of left and right, the prints ran in a single unbroken line, one foot placed directly in front of the other, as though something had walked upright on 2 legs. And every print in every parish was the same size, spaced the same 8 inches apart, mile after mile after mile. Then there was where the tracks went. They did not wander like an animal foraging. They ran in near straight lines, and they went everywhere. They climbed the tops of snow-covered roofs and ran along the ridges. They appeared on the summits of high walls, some as tall as 14 feet, with untouched snow lying on top, then continued on the far side as though the wall were not there. They led up to drain pipes only 4 inches wide and came out the other end. They entered gardens and courtyards enclosed on every side, with no gate left open and no gap in the walls. They were seen on both banks of the Exe estuary, as if the Maker had crossed the water. Across more than 30 parishes, the total length of the trail was reckoned at somewhere between 40 and 100 miles. One newspaper described the creature as endowed with the power of ubiquity, the power to be everywhere at once. To a frightened, deeply religious rural population in the depths of a hard winter, a cloven hoof meant only one thing. This was the mark of Satan, walking the earth in search of sinners. The idea was preached from the pulpits. Rumours spread of a tall, dark figure seen in the lanes. In some villages, men took up guns and clubs and set out across the snow to hunt whatever had made the tracks, and found nothing at all. For a few days, doors stayed shut after dark, and people watched the snow to see if the prints would return. They did not, and after a couple of days, the story broke out of Devon and reached the national press. The Times printed an account on the 16th of February, and the Illustrated London News filled its pages with letters, drawings and tracings sent in by readers and clergymen. But that week of delay mattered, because in the retelling the story had grown, and every teller added a little more. The explanations came thick and fast, and none of them quite fit. Some said a pair of kangaroos had escaped from a private menagerie at Sidmouth, though one local vicar later admitted he had invented that story himself, simply to calm his terrified parishioners. Others blamed badgers or rats or wood mice whose hopping tracks in deep snow can leave a hoof-like shape. Others still pointed to donkeys and ponies wandering loose in the night. One curious tale, told many years later by a single man, claimed the Navy had lost an experimental balloon from the dockyard at Devonport, and that the shackles trailing from its ropes had scratched the marks across the county before it came down and was quietly hushed up. Each theory explains a piece of it, none explains all of it. A mouse does not walk in a straight line for miles. A donkey does not cross a 14-foot wall and leave the snow on top undisturbed. A loose balloon does not thread itself neatly through a 4-inch drain pipe. The most careful study ever made of the mystery, more than a century later, reached a sober conclusion. There was probably no single cause. Some of the tracks were likely hoaxes. Some were ordinary animals, some were mice in the snow, and much of the legend, the 100 miles, the perfect unbroken line, the single night, had been stretched in the telling. And yet, even when all of that is stripped away, a core of the thing remains that no one has ever managed to explain. The snow melted, the prints vanished, and they never came again. More than 170 years later, we are no closer to knowing what walked through Devon that night, and the marks in the snow still carry the name the frightened villagers gave them. All those winters ago, the devil's footprints